Live, the 2025 Idaho NFB Convention morning session. And as per practice, no one is ready to start. 9 o'clock, folks.
6 notifications. Gmail. 9 a.m. Speech off.
Yeah.
I have 5 raffle tickets left, and then I'll be done. Anybody want my 5?
Well done, Allison.
I call the Saturday session of the 2025 convention of the National Federation of the Blind of Idaho to order. Yay! I hope everybody had a fun night last night. The open mic was fabulous. I thought all our performers were just great. I was excited to see the progress. We have one performer that's only had 3 months of working on her mandolin with lessons and can already play, I think it's 6 pieces, which I think that's just fantastic. So that's great, and we just had wonderful time, and we went to the jam session, and a bunch of us stayed and had a great time. It was just a good time had by all. So, do we have our invocation person? I'm right here. I'm not up to my seat here.
Sweetheart? Bose?
All right.
Hey, Bose? Oh, I thought she was coming.
It's fine. It's not a problem.
Bose?
It's fine. Well. And here is Ramona Aloha.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to get together and learn and plan and socialize. We ask you to stay with us as we continue our work and our play, and bless this meeting of the National Federation of the Blind.
Bose?
Thank you for all of the wonderful people who are here and all of the love throughout the group. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And while we're in our kind of status, I want to remember those people this year that we have lost. And if you know people that I don't know, please tell us. We have lost Shelley Newhouse. I almost said Shelley Hutchinson. I'm sorry, I don't know why that came to my mind.
Bose?
Shelley.
Right here, sir.
And then we
Thank you.
just recently were told of Jordana Ingebrigtsen from the coordinator.
Well done, hon.
Passed. So let's have a moment of silence to remember them and others who may come to mind. All right, thank you. All right, door prize, and then is Natalie in the room? Natalie, are you in the room?
Yeah, for all the people that decide to show up on time.
Yeah, that's embarrassing, huh? Because I made her, but that's okay. We'll do it later. Okay, door prize.
Carol Smith.
Is Carl here?
Oh.
Take another name.
He always leaves Saturday night,
1,
early in the morning.
1,
50 bucks.
4,
Whoa, we're showing up on time.
Gas buddy.
Sorry, I could use that.
Bossy per.
Bossy! Look at you, honey, winning all the cash. Now you won 70.
In addition to the
That's
things
two.
you will see on the agenda, we also have, so people know, we have 7 resolutions.
YouTube, Google.
And so we are, and we have.
Actually, 6.
And so we are going to have to move.
Google.
The first thing on our agenda this morning.
I wish it was
is
7. It should be, but
our report from our national representative, Don Porterfield, our national office.
Page 2 of 6.
Gives us the privilege of having a person represent the national office when President Rick Obama cannot
That.
be here.
Higher. Tesla vandalism suspect arrested with explosives. 12K news. Play.
And
Search.
this year
Button.
we've been very
Notification.
fortunate to have Donald and Amy Porterfield
Notification. Idaho's mind is lit. Lit
join us to
2020.
be part of our group.
Video play.
So
Flip chat.
at this
Heading.
time,
Track
I would
position.
like to
Select text.
welcome
Flip.
Donald
Clip. Chat
Porterfield
field.
to
Close.
our
Button.
lectern for the
Track.
national.
Select. Report. Clip. Save to. Track. Lip. Track. So. Item. Option. Like this video. Dislike this video. Share. Button. Create post. Button. Copy link. Elon Musk confirms ugly room. Copy. App switcher. You closing you want to.
hey, Siri, open Facebook.
Facebook. Profile picture. Button.
So on behalf of our national president, President Mark Roccobono, I do extend
Facebook
his
menu.
warm
Selected.
greetings
Facebook
and
notification.
thank you
Gmail.
for
Now.
the warm welcome and greeting that you have given
Advert via
Amy and I
Robinson. Selected.
on behalf of
Facebook
the
menu.
national president.
All shortcuts.
As Vanna said, President Rick Bono would love to be able to attend each and every one of these conventions, but oftentimes there are conventions that occur, multiple conventions occurring on the same weekend, and as well as the other commitments that he has. So thank you for your warm welcome. Speaking about President Rick Bono, my personal experience with President Rick Bono began at my very first national convention in 2011. I encountered him while he was driving a car. How many of you remember the Blind Driver Challenge? And I was one of the individuals that was fortunate to be able to get a ride in the parking lot at the Rose's Shingle Creek Hotel. And President Rick Bono, who was then the executive director of the American Institute, was the driver that had driven the car on the Daytona Motor Speedway, and he was driving around the parking lot. So it was to me, it was a very eye-opening experience, because when I heard about it prior to the convention, I was like, blind people driving cars? Are you kidding me? But I was very, very, very new to the Federation and didn't fully understand that when we set our sights on attaining things, that really the sky can be the limit. I mean, as long as we believe, just like with that Blind Driver Challenge, we're given those proper tools and techniques and opportunities, we can do many, many things. So having met him then, is something that for me has been seared in my memory. And I encounter him on a regular basis as a affiliate president, as a member of the national board, and listen to what he has to say, and I follow closely what is going on in the National Federation of the Blind. Now, as his national representative, I serve as his eyes, his ears, and I speak on his behalf. So I do my best to make sure that what I say not only, reflects what I truly believe in, but also reflects that shared belief that I have with our national president, as well as the membership. Because our national president, just like the membership of the board, actually represent each and every one of you here in this room as well. Now, we used to have a 1-minute message. Recently, that changed to with our belief statement. The belief statement reads as follows: the National Federation of the Blind advances the lives of its members and all blind people in the United States. We know that blindness is not the characteristic that defines you or your future. Every day, we raise the expectations of blind people because low expectations create obstacles between blind people and our dreams. Our collective power, determination, and diversity achieves the aspirations of all blind people. Now, that's a little bit more than what our 1-minute message was, but I believe it encapsulates what we in the National Federation of the Blind stands for. It encapsulates our philosophy and who we are as an organization. Our brand statement, our total brand or complete, brand identity can be found on the web. There's a couple of things and pieces of information that I think are very, very important for all of you who want to learn more about the National Federation of the Blind and about the issues that I'm going to talk about today. The first is www.nfb.org. That is the key to pretty much everything. If you want to look at what's, for instance, our legal and the legal policy, you would go to www.nfb.org/legal. So I'm not going to give you the entire email address for everything that we talked about, because everything can be found at the National Federation of the Blind website. Now, one of the things that is important to our organization, and you've heard President Rick Bono talk about it, he spoke about it at the National Convention last July, and he's spoken about it throughout the presidential releases that have followed, and that is funding our movement. In 2024, we had budgeted a shortfall or a deficit, and the National Federation of the Blind believes in paying for what it does, without having to use credit. We anticipated that we were going to have approximately $3 million in deficit in 2020. Now, we were fortunate that we actually finished in the last. Why? We received a very significant contribution of approximately $5 million in the last quarter of the year, which we had not anticipated receiving it, but we did. In 2025, we have once again budgeted a deficit or a shortfall in terms of, our revenue versus our expenses. And the National Center, the employees who work in the organization are working to reduce that deficit. But the best way to reduce our deficit is, of course, to increase our funding, increase our revenues. So that is one of the things that we as an organization are working to accomplish. I'm sorry. I hear out of my left ear in a conversation that kind of overtakes me. I only hear out of one ear. I am profoundly deaf in my right ear. So, continuing.
What's the difference between deaf and profound?
Funding our movement. There are several ways that we fund our movement. One of the biggest ways is through the PAC plan, pre-authorized contributions. For $5 a month, you can contribute to the PAC plan. You can contribute through a deduction from your checking account, or you can contribute by making the payments through a credit card or debit card for $5 a month. Now, where does Idaho stand in terms of the PAC plan? Idaho, as small a state, you are population ones,
Probably highest per
you are
capita.
number.
Wow. Good job, Idaho.
What are we per capita?
I have to admit, you're above Arizona. But we're coming after you, I'm sorry. No, I mean, that is truly, truly impressive. Now, how much do you contribute? $2,284.
That's 2 months.
Now,
Where was that?
That's 2 months.
now, who's number 9?
Yeah.
It is the state of Ohio. They are number 10 at $2,416.
Who's number 11?
I don't have number 11 on, I have it in a separate document, not in what I'm reading to you right now. But anybody that wants to know, if you come up to me during one of the breaks, I can get that information for you. Are you afraid they're going to catch you?
Just checking.
Well, if you go after number 9, then they'll be chasing number 10. So thank you, Idaho.
Chase number 9.
Thank you for your contributions to the PAC plan. Now, what does the PAC plan really do for us? That
Our tax plan, sign up today.
Need your contributions right away. Funding our movement, it must be done. So all our battles can be won.
Yeah. Thank you for leading that song. So, the PAC plan helps us do our legislative advocacy on Capitol Hill. It helps us with events such as Washington Seminar. It is a general fund that allows us to really accomplish the mission and vision of the National Federation of Women. Oftentimes, a lot of our funding sources, whether it comes from grants or requests, oftentimes they are designated for specific purposes, whether it's to go towards children and youth activities or senior activities. So the PAC plan is one of those unrestricted funds that gives us the flexibility to respond and react to situations that need the immediate attention of the National Federation of the Blind. Now, let's talk about our conventions and events such as the Washington Seminar. You heard from a panel of individuals who attended the Washington Seminar this year, and they spoke about their experiences, what they experienced. The Washington Seminar is an annual event where members of all 52 affiliates converge on our nation's capital, and we present a unified front about and discuss issues that are critical to the National Federation of the Blind. It is typically held at the end of January, the beginning of February every year. And it coincides with when is the president going to address Congress, so that we want to make sure we're going to be there when Congress is there, because they typically take a recess or a break, and you'll hear about some of the caucuses and the events that they do in the January and February timeframe. But it typically takes place last weekend and the first week in February. Now, our biggest event is our national convention. Last year, our national convention was held in, last year it was held in Orlando, Florida. It was a site where, we've been there many years. Where is it going to be held in 2025?
New Orleans.
We're going back to New Orleans. Hopefully it won't rain on us like it did, and hopefully, we're not going to experience, and when we were there last, COVID was still pretty prevalent. That we'll be in New Orleans the 8th through the 13th of July. So there are many ways that you can get funding sources if you need financial assistance. One is you appeal to your state affiliate or to the local chapter. I believe I heard Dana say yesterday that there's approximately $6,000 that have been set aside to assist people in attending your national convention. The other is the Ken Jernigan Scholarship Program for first-time attendees, and that the deadline for submitting for that is April 15th. How do you apply? Well, you can go online, www.nfb.org, and then you can type into the search bar, Ken Jernigan Scholarship. And that will take you to the page where you can complete your application. Part of the application process, and this is one of the things you need to make sure you calculate in your timing, is that you have to get a letter of recommendation from your affiliate president. So if you wait till the 15th, it's going to be difficult for Dana to get your letter in on time. So plan ahead, because April 15th is just a little bit over 2 weeks from now. Now, where are we going after we visit New Orleans?
Austin.
Austin, Texas. We'll be there in
Who's going around the mountain
2026 and
I said
2027.
they are going around in circles.
From there, we go to Chicago in 2028 and 2029. Where are we going in 2030? I'm sure President Riccobono knows, but he hasn't told us, has he? So knowing where we're going to be for the next 5 years gives us the opportunity to plan which of those we might want to attend. Maybe we want to attend all of them, but it gives you the opportunity to plan and to be ready to participate. Yesterday, you heard Ramona talk about one of the best training experiences that you're going to get in blindness is that 1 week at the National Convention. And I remember my first year in 2011, it was an amazing experience. Walking into the hotel and just being in a crowd of people that seem to move seamlessly with their canes or with their dogs, seeming to know where and how to get to where they wanted to get to. Now, what are the details for National Convention. /conventions. You can also find information about the National Convention in the Braille Monitor, in the bulletins that are being posted in the Braille Monitor. Now, I'm sorry, just sort of skipping over things because the document they send to the national reps with the information that can potentially be covered is about 14 or 15 pages of very densely typed single-spaced wording. So there's no way I can go through everything. So I'm trying to get some of the important highlights that I think are very important to us today. One of the big projects that the National Federation of the Blind is working on is the Museum of the Blind People's Movement. That is one of those programs that has become a very concerning program to us because of some of the issues that are occurring with our current administration, some of the budget cutting that is going on. But we are still seeking funding sources for and commitment for the Museum of the Blind People's Movement. We are now asking each and every one of our members to let us know if you have contacts, whether it's family, friends, or business entities, that would be willing to provide sponsorship for that museum, financial support. And we're not saying that the support is expected to come in one lump sum. Many of our members that have already contributed are contributing that amount over a 5-year period of time. But this is a museum that will tell the authentic story of blind people. Not from the perspective of those who are working on our behalf, but from the perspective of those who are living the blind experience each and every day of our lives. This is going to be a state-of-the-art museum, one that has a virtual component, one that is totally accessible to blind people, and one that has the ability to travel across the country to different locations. Where do you find it? Museum at NFB.org. You can find information about what this museum is going to be. You can find information about how to financially support this museum. So I encourage each and every one of you to visit museum at NFB.org. Now, Access On. This is a new podcast that was recently launched by the National Federation of the Blind that is hosted by Jonathan Mosen. It is devoted to technology, and it talks about accessibility of the various tools that are available to us, whether it's websites, whether it's other podcasts, whether it's some of the tools and equipment that is out there. And Access On is available on most of the podcast streaming applications that are out there. If you have not listened to Access On, I would strongly encourage you to do so. Now, we also have NFB RN, which is the National Federation of the Blind's radio network. It features 24/7 content that promotes and talks about issues affecting blind people. Now, one of the things that the radio network does is it gives you a lot of historical content about it delves into our history, it delves into our present. So it provides us with information and a knowledge base, and it gives us the tools to do one of the things that our Constitution says that we should be doing as an organization and as individuals, which is to educate other individuals about the authentic and true experiences of blind people, as opposed to the myths that are generally perpetuated by others in the world. Now, round up your fare with Lyft. How many of you would use Lyft on a regular basis? So the National Federation of the Blind has partnered with Lyft so that you can contribute by rounding up your fare to the nearest dollar. And all you have to do is go into your profile and going to your profile, you just scroll down until you find the funding. I'm trying to find the exact wording for it. Until you find the button, the donate button, and then you scroll down to National Federation of the Blind and you click on it. And then every time you use Lyft, you are contributing at least a small amount to the National Federation of the Blind. So that has been in effect since January of 2022. So I would highly encourage each and every one of you as members of Lyft and Uber or Lyft to donate to the National Federation of the Blind. In speaking about Lyft and Uber, we also have to talk about ride denials, because it is still happening. And when the ride denials occur because you have a guide dog or because of some other blindness related issue, we should be reporting that. And we can report that to our national office, but more importantly, we should be reporting it to the Department of Justice and its Office of Civil Rights. And when you do that, it is important that you capture the image of your report, because there's no way to go back and collect that or gather that later. And you should also capture the screen image of the confirmation receipt showing that their office has received it. And all of that should be forwarded to our national office at nfb.org/legal. The individual who oversees our legal programming is Sanjay Steele-Voucher, and he can be reached at one of the things is, well, I'll have to get you his email address, because I think it's Voucher@nfb.org, and I want to make sure it's not Steele-Voucher@nfb.org. But he is the individual that oversees and processes the legal issues, and it also helps to decide what legal issues we strategically pursue. The NFB does have a detailed strategic plan about legal issues, because there are so many and we just can't take on all of them. One of the questions that has arisen is, do we take on legal issues of everybody that are blind, or do we take on legal issues of our members first? The answer, and it's a hard decision, is that we take on the legal issues of our members first. And in doing so, we hope to create a world where our legal battles have an impact on all blind people here in the United States. We don't do it as a revenue source, because we barely ever recoup the legal costs or the attorney's fees. As I said earlier, we do it because we're trying to make a positive change about how blind people are treated in the world. Now, I was going to say that the Department of Justice has fairly significant enforcement power under the Americans with Disabilities Act in enforcing the rideshare programs. But that's one of the areas that has come under attack by the reductions in what is happening in the political universe at this point in time.
Hey, Rita. What's the time?
Okay, let's talk a little bit about policy and advocacy. And I'm going to circle back to the Washington seminar, because the main issues that we presented in the Washington seminar this year, in addition to those additional items that were added late at the Washington seminar, was the first one was the website and application software accessibility act, which is intended to give blind people full and complete access to the internet and to the applications that are used in accessing the internet. That program, like any legal or political program, is not an overnight, program. It would take us at least 3 years once the bill is passed to implement this program, because it would have to go through a rulemaking and comment period that gives the Department of Justice the opportunity to solicit members or solicit comment from the public about the intended changes. And in year 3, if the rules would be implemented. One of the other issues was, of course, the Medical Device Non-Visual Accessibility Act, which addresses Class 2 and 3 medical devices. Those are items such as blood sugar glucometers. If you've ever had to go through dialysis, you can do in-home dialysis. You can also do in-home chemotherapy. But those treatments aren't accessible to blind people. And we know that diabetes is a significant contributor to blindness. So we're seeking to make sure that treatments that are intended to assist blind people and to improve upon our health and give us independence in making healthcare decisions, are brought into place. Once again, that's a 3-year program, and that will require the FDA to go through the same 3-year rulemaking program before the law would be implemented. The third was the Blind Workers or Blind Americans Back to Work Act, and we heard about that yesterday, where it addresses the earnings cliffs, where if you as a blind worker earn $2,701, you lose your entire Social Security benefit. That includes if you are under Medicare insurance. It's an incredible, significant loss in wages and income to a blind people to be $1 over and to lose potentially thousands of dollars over the course of a year in benefit. So we're asking that they take a look at how the SSI, or the Supplemental Social Security Income Program, works, which is a 2-for-1 match. For every $2 you are over, $1 is deducted, so that over time a blind person would lose the benefit, but they would also gain that income and earning potential through their work effort. One of the biggest issues with that earnings cliff is it incentivizes blind people to work less and to contribute less in the workplace. So we want to give blind people that incentive to show their employers what they're capable of, because they're not in fear of losing a significant benefit. We heard about the Access Technology Affordability Act, a $2,000 deductible that would over a 3-year period of time you could use up to $2,000 to purchase equipment or services that relate directly to your blindness, so that if you have to buy jobs for your employer, you can do that, and you can and that can come out of your income taxes, so that you're not penalized for having to buy that. A lot of employers, especially small employers, simply aren't willing, and some of them aren't required to provide all of those alternative techniques. So that's a fourth one that we're working on. We're hoping to get that included in an omnibus tax bill that is expected to be introduced and passed later this year. Now, there have been various letters written by President Riccoboni this year to talk about some of the issues that are facing us. There is a letter regarding Texas v. Kennedy. Texas v. Kennedy started out as a lawsuit initiated in Texas, and it was called Texas v. Becerra. This lawsuit is seeking to have Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act declared unconstitutional. Now, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act is where the services that many blind people receive originates from. It is the legislation that gives teeth, I should say, to providing blind people with alternative techniques to use in the workplace. So if this legislation passes, the rehabilitation program is in dire jeopardy. There are 17 states that have signed on to this legislation. It's still in the very, very early stages of litigation. I'm happy to say that Idaho is not one of the 17 states. Once again, if you want to see me afterwards, I'll give you the 17. You know, but it was brought in the 5th District of Texas, which is a very, very Republican-heavy district with a Republican-appointed judge who is notorious for rulings against our interests. So we are working on this. The nuts and bolts of Texas v. Kennedy is that last year, under the Biden administration, an executive order was passed that included, as part of individuals covered under Section 504, individuals that were bisexual, gender neutral, binary, and so on. And so rather than declare the entire act unconstitutional, what needs to be addressed is the real issue. Eve Hill, who works with Brown Goldstein, is our legal representative and who is addressing this issue. So I feel very, very comfortable about Eve Hill's presence on this case because she's one of the leading civil rights attorneys in the country. So Section 504 and Brown in states, or not state, but Texas v. Kennedy. Now, he also wrote a letter about the expiration of Medicare telehealth benefits. When the pandemic struck in 2020, the Department of Health and Human Services allowed Social Security Medicare benefits to cover telehealth medicine visits. I'm hoping that's not mine.
No, it's my Dexcom.
Okay. But, so the nuts and bolts of this is that a lot of beneficiaries of Medicare are blind, and a lot of them have enjoyed the benefit of being able to have their healthcare benefits or their healthcare visits through telehealth medicine. Under this administration, through executive order, that will go away. So President Riccobono has written a letter addressing this, hoping to stop this. Once again, it's very early in its process, and we will have to pay significant attention. Now, I think we talked a lot about one of the initiatives yesterday regarding the elimination. Let's see. Yeah, a letter regarding the elimination of the Institute of Museums. Of museums and library services. That's why I said earlier that the Museum of the Blind People's Movement is in jeopardy, but it also jeopardizes the services we receive through the National Library Service and BARD and the NFB newsline. So once again, we find that we are under attack. Now, a biggie is a letter that he wrote regarding the executive order eliminating the Department of Education. Many of you are probably aware that just yesterday, approximately 10,000 employees of the Department of Health and Services were laid off. But earlier, a significant number and similar number from the Department of Education were laid off. So one of the reasons why some of them were laid off was because they participated in seminars relating to diversity, equity, and inclusion that were actually ordered to participate under former Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos, who was then the Secretary of Education under President Trump. So once again, we're finding that we're under attack, and we're under attack for no legitimate reason other than following the orders of individuals that were appointed by then President number 45, President Donald Trump. I heard something.
It's comments. It's up to you if you want to take
Okay.
questions. But
Certainly one opinion, and
there's,
there's a lot
there's,
more to it.
Yeah, I'll take a couple questions maybe at the end, and if I don't have time.
time check 9:52.
Oh, so I'm well over my time. And there are many things that we as an organization have done and will continue to do. Some of the things are what do we do for students, for children and youth? One of the biggest things we do is the NABS program, which is the National Association of Blind Students. And over the course of the year, they hold quarterly, student seminars in various areas of the country. So all of our information that we're talking about can be found at www.nfb.org. So in addition to the NABS program, we also have the NFB Bell Academy. And as we heard yesterday, Idaho is a participant in the NFB Bell Academy. We also have the NFB STEM to You programming that deals with the STEM subject and introduces blind students to the concepts that we find in science, technology, engineering, and math. And it gives them the ability to participate on an equal level playing field. Our membership is chaired by Denise Bond, and the first thing I would say about membership is that if you are a new member, or if you are introducing new members to your organization, you should have a membership secretary that helps fill out an application. And once you fill out that application, it gives the national office the ability to reach out, contact you, provide you with such things as a membership void, to provide you with information about membership in our organization. And one of the biggest benefits of being a member in our organization is we are a Democratic-led organization, and as a member, we're at National Convention. You have the right to vote on issues affecting blind people. You have the right to vote on who is going to represent you on that national board. So membership is a very, very important tool. We heard yesterday in terms of the policy and advocacy that we started out the Washington seminar not talking about our 3 priorities, but talking about other issues that were important to us. Funding sources that currently exist. We found that a lot of our members of Congress didn't even know about these funding sources. So it was an eye-opening experience, and we have to continue to inform them about these funding sources. We have to continue to talk about legislation that's important to blind people. Legislation such as Section 504, the Rehabilitation Act. Legislation such as the Americans with Disabilities Act, and legislation such as IDEA, which deals with our children in school. So there are many things that we in the National Federation of the Blind are doing. If I was to go through the whole list, it would take probably the entirety of the national or your state convention to go over and adequately review it. So if you have questions, I'm reachable through several modes. One, you can contact me personally here at this convention. Two, if you have something to take down information, you can reach me at 520-850-2180. It's on every document I send out, and you can find it on the National Federation of the Blind website. You can go to the site that, or the link that introduces our board members. You can find it on the link that talks about committees and committee chairs. I serve as a committee chair for the Restitutions Committee. So there's a lot of ways you can get that information. And the last way is through email. nfb.az.president@gmail.com. Once again, I'm here on behalf of our national president. And he is an incredibly busy individual because there are a lot of battles to be fighting. And as we said in the song, we need the funding so that the battles can be won. So once again, thank you for welcoming me and my wife to your convention. It has been an incredible experience, and I will have an opportunity to talk to you again later this evening, and I will tell you my story. And I only tell you my story because I encourage every member to tell people their story about their journey. So thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
We've got a pillow that was made by Susan Ford and a $20 gift card to Subway that is donated by Anna. Storm, yeah. Very good. Any starving college students can enjoy Subway.
All right, thank you very much. At this point in time, we have a member who has been dreaming and waiting, and she has developed a program for blind people to travel. And she has high aspirations for this program, and I asked her to come up and talk with us briefly about her program, about what they've done, what she envisions. She is someone who is coming up in her movement. She's on our chapter board. And by the way, she's a really good yoga teacher and a good teacher of blindness skills, because she taught in Silver Bells in the home ec area, and where were they really? Trying to make a kitchen in a hotel where there wasn't one. Anyway, let's welcome Marcy Chapman, who's going to talk to us about her program.
Here we are.
We're going around the table, Marcy.
Right. There we go.
Or the lady, if you want. Sure, I'll let you on it.
I will.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't need to recognize, so you should do it.
I know, you're fine. Okay. Okay. Well, hello, everybody. Thanks, Dana, for asking me to talk. You need to talk into the
Can you say
mic.
something?
Back to you, have that side of it.
Left hand.
Back over to you.
Oh, Jason said it, okay, there we go. All right, give me a second, I'm getting my earbuds in, so then I can. Anyway, so then I'll have my speech ready for you. But I was just saying, thank you, Dana, for asking me to talk about this. This is very exciting for me. All right. Okay. All of our fun technology stuff, right? Yeah, makes it possible for us. Okay. All right, so thank you, Donna, for that introduction. For those who don't know me, my name is Marcy Chapman, and I am a wife and mother of 4 kids, 4 children. Well, 3 of them are pretty much adults and 1 very much a teenager. But some of you at these events may know me as the yoga instructor or fit break instructor. Others may know me as a rehabilitation teacher at the Idaho Convention for the Blind. Let me get down to where I'm at. So I am really excited to tell you about this new venture and this new organization that I am starting up. It is called Beyond Vision Adventures. And with all these new things that come into being, they start with a dream. So a few years ago, a friend of mine and I, when we got together, we would talk about different traveling adventures that we wanted to go on. And we would talk about places that we wanted to go, but also the challenges and difficulties that we have as blind and visually impaired individuals. And those 2 most challenging roadblocks are, of course, transportation and being able to afford to go. And I will circle back to that in just a bit. So upon our musings, I said to her, wouldn't it be great if we got a group of blind and visually impaired individuals together to go on different traveling experiences together? So this seed of an idea was planted. These musings went on for a little bit longer until one day I said to her, so we keep talking about planning all these different traveling adventures. So when are we gonna do this? Why don't we just start doing it? So during this moment, we were currently at an NWABA event doing a fitness walk, training for the triathlon. So as we were on our walk, we began to plan our first adventure. So originally we did talk about going to West Yellowstone, But during the process of our planning, we decided to go somewhere closer to home. So we decided to plan an adventure to Lava Hot Springs. And in writing this speech, I definitely decided we still need to plan a trip to West Yellowstone because we haven't gotten there yet. So that's to come in the future. So planning our adventure to Lava Hot Springs was a lot of fun for me. I knew that in order for this adventure to be a success, we would need some really good sighted volunteers and also transportation. So where do we go when we need advice and help? Well, for me, I go to my family. So when I approached my family about this, my twin brothers were immediately on board, and they wanted to help out. So them and my sister-in-law and also my oldest son were our volunteers for this event. I did not have a formal name for us yet, but I cannot wait to get this going. Overall, I feel like our first adventure, or first event, was a huge success. While we were at Lava Hot Springs, we floated the Portland Rapids out at Lava Hot Springs. And then we also went out to Soda Springs, and we went out to Bear Lake, and we relaxed on the beach, and we went kite swimming and kayaking and paddleboarding. Let's see, we also went on a nature hike to Cherry Springs Nature Area. And then, of course, we also enjoyed the hot pools out at Lava Hot Springs. So some other different adventures that we have done. Last summer, we also floated the Boise River. That was actually our first official event. I kind of threw that one in before Lava Hot Springs. I was like, well, that would be fun. So I recruited my two oldest boys to take us down the river because my oldest son doesn't like the back of his hand, knows it really well. So that was a lot of fun to float the river. And then on January 1st, to kick off the new year, we planned an adventure to go snow tubing out at Eagle Island. And I think all of those who were in attendance would have to agree that totally needs to be a tradition every year.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So some of our volunteers for that one were, of course, my family members I recruited again. But then also there were some family members of some of our other adventurers, but also some of our friends and volunteers from the Northwest Association for Blind Athletes. They've become good friends, and of course I'm going to talk to them about what I'm doing, and so they got excited and wanted to help our cause as well. So some upcoming events or adventures that is coming up, our closest one coming up is our yoga and water aerobics retreat in May. And with that one, we are going to be staying at the Riverside Hotel in Boise. And on Friday, we'll do some water aerobics that evening. And then, of course, a yoga class in the morning. And then we're going to go on a mindful walk in the afternoon out at the park. And then everyone's going to bring a sack lunch, and we'll eat our lunch out there, and knock on wood, it'll be good weather. And then we'll do another yoga class that evening. And so it is a May 2nd through the 4th, and it's a Friday through Sunday. And if anyone is interested in going to that one, you just have a few days left, really a couple. till March 31st to book your reservation at the Riverside Hotel, just because it's hotel policy when you book that many rooms, they like to know a month ahead who's all gonna be there. But if you are, let me know if you're interested. So, some other events coming up, if you are interested, is we are planning a trip or an adventure to Utah in August. And also hopefully float the river again, because that was a big success. And we have a volunteer who's willing to let us use his rafts to go float the river. So definitely want to jump on that. And then, like I said, we have our trip in Utah coming up, and that's still in the planning phase. And then in December, we are going to go visit this other nonprofit organization called Riot for Joy. And that one's really special because we've already had some other organizations sponsor us. And so that's all paid for. All we have to do is figure out our transportation together. Oh, and so we also have a fundraiser coming up this summer, and we're tentatively kind of planning on doing a yard sale / bake sale / whatever you want to donate. So for that, if you have any gently used or really good condition items that you would like to donate to us, you can let me know, or Veronica Tolan know. I think she's volunteered to let us put stuff in her garage. Yes, Veronica? All right. Or maybe you are a very crafty person and there's some different items that you have made that you would like to donate to us that we could sell or use as a silent auction. That would be awesome. Or maybe you just have these mean baking skills and you would like to bake some delicious delights for us that we could sell at our fundraiser. So let me know. And if you have any other questions about any of these adventures, there should be some time at the end of my speech to ask any questions or make any comments or anything. So my dream for this Beyond Vision Adventures is to make it a nonprofit organization. So as I mentioned earlier, the biggest issue is transportation and funding. So to make this a nonprofit organization, there are a lot of steps to make this happen. And we are working through a lot of those right now. So we are currently in the pending process of registering our Beyond Vision Adventures with the state. We had to file our articles of incorporation. And so hopefully by next week, we'll find that out. Once we get that approved, then we'll be able to get our tax credit number, and then we'll be able to file for our nonprofit status. And so once all of that happens, then we will be able to apply for grants and receive donations, which all of that makes it more affordable for all of you. Because currently, unfortunately, for our trips, we've been talking a lot this morning, we need to save up and set money aside so we can go on these. But our dream for this is to be able to have grants and have the money so that most of our adventures that we plan, the grant money will go toward that. And we're also wanting to get a big van that we can use for transportation and be able to hire a driver. So then that also makes it more accessible for us to go on these different adventures. Okay. And as with anything new in the beginning, we have little hiccups here and there, because that's just how it goes. But I've had some really great support along this journey. I've had really good family and friends that have donated their time and have been willing to help out in this endeavor. I have had some really great mentors along the way. And as part of this, we've put together our board. We finally officially have our board, yay! And they've been such a great support and such a good help, and I so appreciate each one of them. I definitely couldn't do this without everybody's help in this, for supporting me and being there for me and encouraging me along the way.
Don't make me cry.
What's that?
You're making me cry.
Oh. I don't mean to make you cry. But we definitely couldn't do it without our volunteers as well. So if you know anybody who you think would be a great volunteer to help us out in this, we would so appreciate it, because as you know, like, we have volunteers here today that help us and guide us around, helping us get to our chair or to our room, whatever. And so we're so very grateful for our volunteers as well. So if you would like to find us on social media, we do have a business Facebook page, and it is, can you guess, Beyond Vision Adventures. Those of you who visited me at my table yesterday during the vendor time, I did have some pamphlets to hand out, and also on my poster was a QR code. I do have some more pamphlets if you are interested in having one. The QR code to our Facebook page is on there, or I can also send you it electronically. Keep in mind, my son did it for me, and as he did an amazing job, it looks beautiful, so I've been told. But it does have all the information there. You just have to swipe through it. So he's learning, but he was helping out his mom, and he did a wonderful job.
That's great.
And so we also, just before, oh, okay. Sure. We also have our website. Just purchased a domain, so I'm still working on setting up the website, but it is beyondvisionadventures.org. All right, so do we have any questions? Sure, let's do that. So if you have any questions, if you're facing the front of the podium, I'm sitting at the front table on your left. So thank you very much, and I hope that we'll see you at our next adventure.
Excellent. Well done, Marcy. I'm excited for it. It's great. Hope that's a big success. Want to go on an adventure, huh?
Can I please have an updating committee report? I like to usually twice. Usually the day before I do, but we could do that before I do my station report.
Door prize. What a great
Let's do a
idea.
$20 gift card to Subway again. Yeah.
Man's got to eat. So does a woman.
Give it a call.
Hey, she's up here, Desiree.
Yes.
Emma Lee, Lynn.
Emmeline,
Yeah.
are you here?
Amelia, sorry.
Amelia.
All right.
Look at you. You still love me.
I want to thank the committee. I know I'm not on the mic, but I'm going to speak louder because she is. And on the nominating committee, we had Joe Thompson, who was unable to be here, Natalie Morgan and Winona Wilhoff. And Natalie is going to give us the report from the nominating committee. And that's so you know, in case you have someone that you want to nominate for a position. Now, before you do that, and you'll have some time to quietly take them to the back of the room or outside, but they need to have accepted the nomination, and we're not gonna do any, on the spot nominations. We've gotta get it clear. So here's Natalie with our nominating committee report.
secret.
Okay,
committee.
so the positions that are available are board position number 1, which is Megan Geisler, board position number 2, Natalie Morgan, and board position number 3, Allison Stephen. And the recommendation that the nomination committee came up with was Megan Geisler, Natalie Morgan, and Joe Grover. For the office.
No, Allison?
We didn't know that.
Yes, we did.
What was the comment,
Maybe
Dana?
Ramona should get that, because that's all right. We don't need to-
Well, I think there was no change in officers.
What was the comment, Dana? Have we missed?
The comment was she said she didn't know it was the officers. But
Let's find out. Okay. Ramona, do you
Oh, I'm
want to say?
confused.
Do you want me to give the officers?
Sure, yeah, okay.
The nomination for president is Dana. Our nomination for first vice president is Sandy Streeter. Nomination for second vice president, I think, is Shane
yes.
Ostermeyer. And nomination for secretary is Susan Bradley. Nomination for treasurer is Don Whittington. And because there were not changes, they didn't get written down.
Right.
We thought we could remember. Natalie took the notes and she did a great job.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, we do this and that's just fine. So that is who is up. So, you know, if you have feelings about nominating, you can do it before we have elections, which will be in the business meeting. And, you know, all right. And now we're going to move to the state report. And I am going to try to be expeditious about it because we are running a bit behind and we'll have time, but I think we have to be expeditious about our time. Whoops, here's the mic. All right. This was somewhat of a difficult report for me to write. And it was difficult because as I reviewed things, I realized that we are really at a turning point. We are a strong affiliate, that is true. We're 10th in the pack. We have done some great programs and I'll review those. But we're not growing like I'd like us to be growing. We're not reaching every part of the state. This year, we don't have any representation from our Palouse Empire chapter. And there's, you know, several reasons for that. Some of it's geographic and there's other things, but still, it's a concern to me because if you're not growing, you're dying. So we need to, well, in a sense, you know, you can't be stagnant forever. And we're not totally stagnant, but we need to be growing. And we're going to have a chance to do that, to talk about it more, I think, in our business meeting. And hopefully you can be my cabinet and advise me, because unlike our presidents and our nominees who seem to know what the whole situation is going to be, I'm at a crossroads. I'm not quite sure. The one thing I do want to let you know is that I am running for re-election this term, but I do plan to make this my last term. I hope to have somebody in place that will be able to pick up the reins and be able to move on. Because 12 years, which will be 12 years for me, is a good run. And we've done a lot of good things. But new leadership brings new ideas. And I am looking forward for raising up new leadership. All right, let's look back at our year. I always like to do that because it makes me feel good about who we are and what we've done, because we've done a bunch. We had started off in May last year with our Cycle for Independence, which again is going to be May 17th. This year, it's going to be in Boise. It's going to be at the River Glen Junior High, where it's been for the last long period of time. And it's a great event. I already know that Sandy Streeter is planning to come with her tandem, her brand new side-by-side tandem, and ride in this event. So
We welcome people from all parts of the state to come and participate as blind people in this community bike ride, because we are not only riding and making some funds, but we're educating. We're educating sighted people to show them that we can put on an event and do it just like everybody else, only better. We had a really good experience with our VIEW program. That's the commission's program, which is visually impaired experiencing work. And I was asked in June to do a program for them, and I did. It was called Be Your Own Best Advocate. And we had examples of what is great advocacy and examples of what is pretty bad advocacy. We learned how to do presentations, having an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. I spent 32 years in Toastmasters, and trust me, I know how to organize speeches. So we did that with the kids, and it was great because they could spot when it wasn't a very good advocacy effort, because it was rambling, and you can't do rambling when you're trying to advocate. You better be to the point. We did a VIEW sports program. I have a good friend who's really big into beat baseball, and he comes and runs our beat baseball for us. We got some wonderful videos last year on beat baseball. We had soccer. Al does our soccer for us, and he has a contest with the kids, and they really like it. And then the Northwest Association for Blind Athletes came and did cooperative games, and so it was highly successful. We had a really good lunch. We always have a nice picnic lunch, and we talked to the students a bit about the Federation and about the Organization for Blind Students. And so they get an introduction. We had some involvement with college days. It was not in Boise this year. It was up at the University of Idaho. And so Joe Thompson and Janine Scholander, who are both members, and they could not be here, but they did help with college days, and I heard that it was very successful. The people that are talking, if you are outside the room or if you're heading that way, we can hear you clearly, so you need to move away from where you're heard. Bella and Beyond Camp was great. We're going to hear more about that from Allison, and there's going to be a change in the agenda today because she has to leave this afternoon. Her son is coming in, and she needs to be there to welcome him and so forth. So we will have to move that presentation, which we will do. But Bella and Beyond was great. I was one of the teachers. Cindy Grover and Joe Grover were teachers. Cindy and I shared a room with Goblet, and it was quite a fun adventure because he found out that he really likes us both, and that was just really nice. Anyway, and we had some humor around that. You know, you gotta have a little break in the action here. But anyway, we had an early morning swim by some of the kids who didn't do the big camp out, and it was just great. We taught Braille, cane travel, daily living skills, and they learned a lot. And they're getting to know one another and build community, and that's a lot about what this is about, is teaching skills, but building community. I went to the Snake River Chapel picnic, talked to them about some state things, with the Federation, giving them a little broader perspective. The thing about it is, when we talk about why it's important to go to our national convention and things like Washington, D.C., and part of it is because if we don't, it becomes, it's provincialism. That means you become your own province, your own kingdom. You forget that you're part of a bigger national movement. And we can't let that happen because that's not who we are. We're part of a huge movement that gets bigger all the time. And we've just got to get people there so they can see that. And so that was one of the reasons I went up to talk to them, was just to talk about our movement in a little broader perspective. Food was wonderful, by the way. I loved it. And I have a recipe now for Texas caviar. It's in the new cookbook I got, so I might be making it. We had that there. There were three of us that went to the Uber demonstration, Uber and Lyft demonstration against Uber and Lyft's denial of guide dog handlers when we travel. Three of us that happen to have guide dogs, Yiska Hugo, Crystal White, and myself went. And we marched up and down in front of their places, and we made lots of noise and sang songs and shouted slogans and had good music. And hopefully it makes a difference. It's always hard to know what impact this has, but they do have, or they're supposed to have, I haven't found it yet, a place on their website where you can identify as somebody who uses a service dog. Now, some people don't like that, but at least if you are somebody that doesn't want to be hassled, maybe that's one way to do it and keep working on making it better. We had a good fundraiser. It was Invest in Our Future 2025. We didn't make quite as much, I don't think, as we did last year, but it is a way for us all in our state organization to invest in our future. It's really important to invest in our national future with PAC, but we need to invest in our state organization's future too, because we've got a lot of exciting things that we do that we have to fund. And if you don't have the money, you can't do it. Washington seminar was great. 3 new people, Joe Grover, Cindy Grover, and Crystal White went, and Ramona Rojas was there. I heard from that panel yesterday. I think it was very impactful for everyone. And I hope it was impactful for our Congress. I guess we'll see. We had 7 scholarship applicants. They were all good applicants. And we have 4 of our applicants here today. And and they told us a bit about themselves last night, and I would like to emphasize, since they'll have a little bit of time, more time today, to talk about the kind of things that have brought them to the point of where they are. All of us who have been and gotten where we are have had people who have helped us along the way, and instances that have helped us to get where we are. And I hope that we will hear that today from our aspiring scholarship winners. Silver Bells. Who's in Silver Bells? Clap, Silver Bells people. All right. Yes. Silver Bells was great. It was invigorating. People came back with new learning. And I think one of the best things that happened, they came back with a new community, the National Federation of the Blind of Idaho. And we're already seeing that. We had Silver Bells people joining us last month for our group with for people losing vision. And it was good to have new people. Speaking of groups, we have them. We have our book club, and I wish more people would get on it. It's fun. You learn about new books. And more important than books, you get to know other people. Because it turns out we talk more than just books. Sometimes it brings us to talking about life and ourselves. One time we had a book on mental illness and found out that we have 2 members in that book club that have children with significant mental illness. And we talked about that. And, you just get to know people, and it's just a good opportunity. It's only 1 hour a month, and it's really worth it. We have our group of people losing vision, and that's been really good. It's been small, but it doesn't matter that it's small. It's reaching people, and if we hang on and keep doing it, it will keep reaching more people. We had a writers group, and the person who started it, she called me and she said, hey, I want to start a writers group. Can I do that? And I said, sure. And I said, you just need to announce it, and we're not going to have to worry about constitution or anything. We just want to see how it goes. And I don't know what all happened, but after 2 meetings, she got discouraged and called and said, I'm not going to do that anymore. And furthermore, I'm not going to come to convention. So I don't know where that came from. But, sometimes we have to start things and really work on them. And I know we have a lot of writers here, and I think we just needed more time. And maybe somebody will pick that up. All right. what are concerns? We have excellent leaders in our 2 chapters that are here at convention. We need to strengthen the Palouse Empire chapter. We also need to realize that leaders get tired. We need new people to step up and lead, and not just sit in the background and say, oh, Anna will do it, or Sandy will do it, or maybe Natalie will do it, or Kevin. But, you know, it's finding, like this contest. Don't forget the contest. Deadline is noon, I believe. What project would you like to do and step up and lead? And I just think this fits so much with the theme of this weekend. You know, as always, we need more members that are interested and want to move on, do things. We hope, I think communication continues to be a big problem. You know, I hope that our listserv could help us streamline that a bit. But they're having problems, so we haven't been able to get everybody on the leadership, but we will, I think. Not the leadership, I mean the Idaho listserv. All right, some of my biggest concerns are, where do we go from here? And we talked about this a little bit last night, and I am in a quandary because we need leaders. You can't have a chapter without a leader. And that's how we lost most of our chapters. That when I came, we had 8 chapters. They weren't very strong chapters, but we had 8 chapters. But as the leaders disappeared, we just lost our chapters. And of course, then we don't have a presence in that area. And it's a problem because, you know, you can say, oh, I'll join the Treasure Valley chapter or the Snake River Valley chapter, we meet on Zoom. But Zoom doesn't connect you with people. And it's hard for people to go and get into our activities if they live in Coeur d'Alene. So we need to somehow be able to have a way to get our members and get new chapters perhaps. Maybe it's a chapter at large. You know, I don't know. I don't know everything that we need to do. But I feel like we need to have, I don't like to have just the presence of this area in the east in our Treasure Valley. Because, you know, people up north, you know what they say about Ada County? They say the great state of Ada. And that's because they feel left out. My husband was from the Lewiston area, and he did. He always said all the time, they're always leaving us out. Well, it's geographic in some ways, because in some ways they're closer to Spokane, but we can't leave these people out. So we need to work on ways to be able to get them in. So I think that is our next big goal as an organization, is we need to figure out how can we build, how can we share with people the news that we have. I mean, Donald read that, our new message today. How impactful is that? But most of our blind and low vision people are missing it because they don't know about us. So, as we move forward, let's use our creative thinking. Let's use it to lead. Let's use it to dream. And let us use it to continue to improve the lives of blind people wherever we are. And in essence, let's use it to build the National Federation of Blind of Idaho.
Full prize.
Okay,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, let's do it. We're gonna do a pair of socks from Cycle for Independence. These are new socks. So no, seriously, there are either BSU blue and orange, Vandals gold and black, or there are orange and black, which are the Bengals.
Just kind of fun.
I assume BSU are gonna buy. So you get $20 with them. So. Running.
You know, they let it be a spread around, you're not giving them the stuff to.
Idaho's blind trip, bullet, and stream advantage. Share, webcam,
Carl Smith.
Oops,
Not here, not here.
This is his lucky day if he was here.
Yeah, yeah.
Idaho's blind trim and subscribers dash only. Idaho's blind trim and subscribers dash
Yeah.
All right, now it's time for a fit break, and Marcy, I'm gonna have to ask if we can keep it as close to 2 minutes or so as we can. Since we're already 15 minutes behind.
Okay. We'll just come up and we'll sit down.
Yeah. Stretch and garnish your-
Yeah. Alright, everybody stand up, I'll just talk really loud. Alright, this is for all you who missed my yoga class this morning. Alright, I'm breathing. Okay. So, everyone on an inhale, bring your arms out to the side and over your heads. Reach for the sky. Fingertips, wiggle your fingertips up for the ceiling. And then let's exhale to the right. Inhale to the center and exhale to the left. Inhale to center and exhale, lower your hands down in front of you. Good job. Inhale, come up onto your toes. And then reach your arms up to the sky as well. Exhale, lower your heels, lower your arms, and down. Again, let's bring our arms in with that. Breathe in, bring your arms out to the side and up. As you come up onto your toes. And exhale, lower your arms forward and down. Very good. If you can in this room, spread your legs wider than hips width apart so you can get a deeper stretch. Okay, on an inhale, bring your left arm out to the side and up, and then let's exhale to the right. So you're gonna get a nice stretch along the left side of your body. Inhale, lowering your left arm down. Now let's go to the right. Inhale, bring your right arm out to the side and up, and let's exhale to the left. Inhale, lower your right arm down, step your legs in. March in place for a minute, warm up your feet, get some blood moving in those feet. Okay. All right, wake them up, wake them up. Wiggle your arms, shake your head, no, not up and down. Very good. All right, pause, everyone stand. Inhale, arms come out to the side and up. Reach as high up to the sky as you can. Wiggle your fingers, bring your hands together above your head. Exhale, lower your hands to your heart. Thank you very much.
Well done. That's better than sitting like an Indian and going, oh.
All right. We will, depending on how things progress on our business meeting, I know we have an auction item scheduled, and I intend to do that, but we do need to move forward with our business meeting, and at this moment, I'm looking for my business meeting. I closed my book. Okay, here it is. All right, this is the 2025 convention business meeting. We do have the minutes from the 2024 business meeting, which Susan Bradley, our state secretary, will read so that you remember what took place last year.
So, Dana called the business meeting to order. Minutes from the previous year were read. And Ramona moved, we approved the minutes with some corrections, and Sandy Streeter seconded. The motion passed.
The treasurer sent out the report before convention and was unable to attend. Our account balance is $41,298.51. Kevin Purdy moved, Ramon Wellhoff seconded that we accept the treasurer's report as written. Elections were held for 3 of our board members. Ron Owens and TJ Squires were re-elected for another 2 years. Vicky Bateman, Ron Owens and TJ were all re-elected. We elected our delegate to the National Convention. Dana was elected as delegate, and she is elegant, but she was our delegate, and Susan Bradley was alternate delegate. We had chapter reports from Treasure Valley chapter, Snake River Valley chapter, and Palouse Empire chapter. Ramona Wellhoff gave a YouTube report. She said we had about 350 videos up, and we have videos of the state convention that we will put on the channel. National Convention. The people interested in attending are Dana Art, Susan Bradley, Ramona Wellhoff, Cindy Barajas, Crystal White, Cindy and Joe Grover. We discussed the Jernigan Scholarship, the state affiliate, can help with airfare and hotel costs if needed. Blindness Awareness Day, Ramona reported about the coffee sleeves that we could design and put on coffee cups. We can design them and distribute them to the coffee shops and put on their cups. We had a discussion about whether people were interested in this. Respectfully submitted, Susan Bradley, Secretary.
Madam President?
Yes.
I move we approve the minutes.
I second it. Vicky?
Yes, it's been moved and seconded that the minutes be approved. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Those were excellent minutes for the annual meeting. Now, as I explained last night, we do not have a full board treasurer's report that goes from last year to this year, just due to some time issues. Don, are you are you in the room?
I am in the room.
Do you want to come and say anything or regarding our finances for the general membership to know?
Let me call it up first.
Okay. And you could probably sit there if there's a travel ride, somebody could bring you in, so you wouldn't have to necessarily.
You mean I don't project very well?
Well, they're making us all do it, so.
Yeah.
We want the stream to pick you up as well.
I have to find my
Yes.
treasurer's report.
It's part of the convention, it's public.
Okay.
Discourse.
You're actually doing a little bit better this time of this year right now than we were last year at this very time. A lot of that is as a result of some very substantial donations at our NFB Idaho Zoom fundraiser.
Do you have the mic?
The mic.
Is there traveling around? I think this is.
I'm traveling over there.
Oh, you're traveling over there, okay.
Thank you, Don.
Do you need me to all move my stuff?
I would never ask the president to get out.
Yeah, throw me in like my stress out. I use the lecture. And notice, it is a lecture, it is not.
All right. Right now, our current balance, and this is as of February 28th, which is the most recent bank statement we have, $43,408.25. The total income for January through the end of February was $593.63. Most of that came from general donations and state convention registrations. And of course, we're going to see more next quarter come in through the state convention. Expenses totaled $7,400.98. That included costs for silver bells, which we just heard about a little while ago. A big successful event there. General liability insurance came due for $1,758, and that now includes some special considerations that NFB National requires. Printing the NFB Idaho milestones, our newsletter, and miscellaneous expenses, which this time around was totally web maintenance. And I gotta say, the new website looks nice, working really well, and well-deserved stipend given to Kevin Burney for keeping that going for us. So we're back to current balance, $43,408.25 as of end of February 2025. Are there any questions about that?
Mr. Treasurer, I have one, I want you to verify this. I believe, and this didn't show up in this year's report yet, that's why I'm raising, I believe our largest annual expense is bail, is that correct?
That has been the case over the last few years.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so we need to keep that in mind because our balance looks really high right now. But a 2-month report doesn't reflect the year's financial activities.
Yeah, right now, we've only paid a down payment on the property that the Bell Camp will be held at. There will be 2 more payments to complete that, the actual campsite reservation. And then, of course, there's all the incidentals that so many of you contribute to along the way, and then we reimburse you for those contributions.
We've got credit cards bills coming in, so it's just too much, just as hard.
Yeah, all that's been paid for 2024. And I want to underscore that a very large part of the reason we've got such a high balance right now is you. Your contributions at the Zoom fundraiser really are bringing us up. And in fact, yesterday, Dan reported that we had to file a more elaborate 990 EZ form with the federal government this year because, and this is the principal reason, our average proceeds for the last 3 years exceeds $50,000. That means that, wow, we really are doing a lot better than we have in the past. And in fact, as far as I know, this is the first year NFB Idaho has ever had to file a 990 EZ, which, okay.
That's correct.
NFB National does that for us with the data that I provide to them. But it's evidence that this particular affiliate and all of you contributing to it are making for a much more successful experience for everybody in this room and everybody who's blind and has low vision in the state of Idaho. Give yourself some applause.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions about the treasurer's report?
I'm ready to accept.
I'm sorry?
I'm going to accept the report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Don.
I can see the microphone, didn't
The treasurer's job is very, very difficult. I mean, it's getting harder all the time because our organization is getting, it's bigger work. On a national level, we're no longer in the little dogs, we're in the big dogs. And that's why.
Well, Donna's a true asset to her. For sure.
Correction has been brought to my attention.
Oh, it has, okay.
Yes,
Let's just give her.
Larry and Susan Bronick went last year and they already have their reservations for this year, so I will make that correction, add them to the list.
A list of what?
Oh.
Well,
Last year.
I've already
I
made
don't know,
mine.
Susan does random sometimes.
Well, they wanted to go to last year.
They were on a cruise last year.
Okay.
They will be back to fly by the time.
Sorry, I'm just a little confused, but that's okay.
Yeah,
There we go.
on a cruise during.
Oh, that's right, okay, I
Oh,
get
they
it.
were here for stage.
Okay, yes, they were.
I'll correct it.
All right. I think we're ready now to do one of the most important things that we can do at this business meeting, and that's going to be our election. I want to get that done so that we can move on to some other things that we need to do, including Allison's bill report, which we'll do after the election, because I know it needs to be done. And so, first of all, I'd like to have Natalie come back and it can be Natalie / Ramona. It's the nominating committee's report again. And then we will have Sandy Streeter come up to do the election for president, because that one election I can't do. So Natalie, come, and then Sandy, get ready to come and run that part of the election.
What's in there? Oh,
Okay,
somebody
so
near here does. Oh.
we have Dana Art for president. Susan Bradley as secretary.
First fives.
Yeah.
All the offices. First and second fives.
All of this, all,
You're fine.
all of the same except for Allison, I think.
First vice
Don.
president.
First vice president Sandy Streeter. Treasurer Dawn, second. Vice president is Shane Ostermeyer. Treasurer Dawn Winnicky.
That's 5 officers.
The secretary, you are there.
And then secretary is Susan Bradley.
Okay.
Okay, now the board seats, we have TJ Squires.
Well, there
That
are
was
three,
last year.
there are 3 people who remain on the board. And those were named in last year's election, but they're TJ Squires, Fawn Owens, and Vicki Bateman. Those people are not up for election.
Okay. So the ones that are up for election, Megan Geisler, Natalie Morgan, and Allison Stephen.
Well, the committee recommends that we replace Allison with Joe Grover. You don't really look at it that way, but we do recommend that Joe Grover be on the slate this year.
Were you interested in staying on, Allison?
No, I'm happy to withdraw.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
We like
She'll
you,
still
Larry,
work.
I know.
I'm not gonna stop doing what I do.
You know
Oh,
what? I'm gonna, I'm getting there to the mic to make a comment about, elections and people and all that stuff.
first of all, there's one line.
There it is.
Hello.
I think we should give our nominating committee a big hand. I put people on the nominating committee. I put Natalie on as her first year, but I had other people, you know, Ramona's been on nominating committees, and Joe Thompson has done nominating committees. But it's important to put people in positions where they can start to learn. I mean, you can't learn if you don't do. And so this year, I chose to add Natalie, and she was willing to do it. And you know what? Next year, if she does it again, it's gonna be easier, because you've done it once, you know? Anytime you do a new task, it's hard, it's tricky. And then with Crystal, she did resolutions, she was chair of resolutions. And that was a new experience of, you know, calling the meeting and making sure that everybody was notified and. What? Huh? But anyway, I wanted to say that because I think it's really important that you understand why we did that. So, that being said, it is now.
Oh, Megan's on the phone.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking to me. Because I thought you were talking to me and telling me to shut up and get going with the elections. Because all I could hear was elections, and I thought, oh, okay, I've been going on too long, I better be quiet here. All right, speaking of elections, let's move on, and I'm going to have Sandy Streeter conduct the elections for president. Sandy. Oh, we have to accept that, right? We do. You're so right. Thank you very much. We need a parliamentarian sometimes. All right, it's been moved that we accept the nominating committee's report. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we, Marcy, it was Sandy and Marcy.
Okay, Sandy and Marcy.
Okay, any questions? All in favor of accepting the nominating committee's report, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Okay, now we can move forward.
That's fine, we all need a little guidance now and then, and I admit it.
This microphone is okay. All right, the name of Dana Ward has been put into place for president. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Are there any other nominations from the floor? Are there any other nominations from the floor?
Move nominations ceased and we cast a unanimous ballot for Dan as president.
Okay. It's been moved that we accept Dana.
Second.
Okay, moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? We appreciate Dana. She does a great job, and we look forward to continuing for at least 2 more years.
Well, I thank you for that endorsement of confidence. I take this job very, very seriously. I have never been a perfect president, and I don't plan to be in the future, because we're all in the learning process until we're no longer in the learning process, which probably means the day we leave this earth. So we continue to learn and to benefit from our learning. And you know, in 2 years, if for some reason there was no one to take it over, I certainly am not going to leave our affiliate in the dust, by no means, but I did want to let you know my intentions. All right. For first vice president, the name of Sandy Streeter has been placed in nomination. Are there any nominations from the floor? Are there any nominations from the floor? Are there any nominations from the floor?
Move nomination cease.
Okay, move the nomination ceased and acclamation. Okay, thank you. It's nice to have those together. Is there a second? Okay, Allison seconds, moved and seconded that Sandy Streeter be elected by acclamation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, sorry. A little delay there. All right, Sandy, do you want to say anything at this point?
Okay, I leave my notes there.
I appreciate your vote and your confidence in me. I enjoyed working with Dana, but don't get the idea that I will become president. It's not going to happen.
Forget about it.
She got to hold us.
Well, I appreciate a good first vice president, and one of the things about it's just important to have good officers in your board, because one person can't do everything, and good officers remind you of things that maybe you have missed, so I appreciate that. Second, the second vice president, and I was trying to think, I was getting my sentences mixed up, Shane Ostmeyer. And, okay, sorry, every once in a while I get a brain fog here. Shane Ostmeyer's name has been placed in nomination. Are there any nominations from the floor? Any nominations from the floor? Any nominations from the floor?
I move nomination cease and we elect Shane by acclamation.
Okay. Moved and seconded that Shane be elected by acclamation. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Shane is.
Do you want to say anything?
Thank you, everyone, and I look forward to working with everyone in the future. Thanks again, everybody.
All right, and thank you, Shane, for all that you do in our organization. Shane serves on a number of committees and has been very involved. Okay, our next officer is our secretary, Susan Bradley. Are there any nominations from the floor? Any nominations from the floor? Any nominations from the floor?
Move nomination cease and Susan Bradley be elected by acclamation.
Second. All right, it's been moved by Amelia and seconded by
Cindy.
Cindy, okay. And all those in favor of electing Susan as secretary, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, the secretary, I have to say, has a lot of work, especially at this time of year. Secretaries and treasurers have a lot to do. And Susan has managed it very well. We've had a real seamless conference with very few problems as far as I am aware. And it's due to the excellent work of people that are, having to keep track of who ordered what kind of food and how many people we had and so forth and so on. So that's great. Our next officer, she needs to say something. I'm sorry. Please do. Keep me on. I'm just ready to rock and roll and go.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, you guys. I appreciate the vote of confidence. But I, like Dana, I'm getting older and I'm not going to be able to be secretary forever. So anybody who would like to start working with me and learning what I do, I can turn over files and all that kind of stuff and help train you, and then you don't have to jump inside and see. Let me know, because, we need to kind of maybe have a couple of us working, and then if I have to bow out, then you could take it easy. So, but in the meantime, whenever I need help, I call Angie.
That's what kids are for.
Yeah, it is.
What's
What's
that?
training.
Yeah, it's nice to have. I don't have any, husbands were nice to have too, if I had trouble, say, hey, I don't know how to do this, show me, but anyway, I made it work, so we all managed to muddle by. But thank you, Susan, and it is, we have to always be looking for our successor, we do. Because none of us are going to be around forever, and I'd like to say it'd be nice to be there, but, you know, we all know that our lives are limited. Okay, we have up for election, our last officer is Don Winky, and I hope Don can just keep cloning himself and, be Harry and Harry and Harry, you know.
Harry
Harry and Don. And for those people who don't know who Harry was, he was our treasurer for about 43 years. He was amazing, and he just was fabulous. And when it came time for finding another treasurer, it was a scary proposition, but thankfully, Don has been willing to do it. Oh my word, yes. He was, and we are thankful for what he gave to us for all that time. And for those who know, his wife Jen is going to turn 92 or 93. 93 in June, and she's planning to go to nationals, she said. So
She wouldn't want to miss one if she had a chance.
she told that to Carl, she told Carl Smith that the other day, that she's planning to go to national. So that's good. But we need others to go to national too. Okay. Don Winnicke's name has been put in nomination. Are there any nominations from the floor? Any nominations from the floor?
Chicken.
Any nominations for?
Yeah. I move nomination cease and Don is elected by acclamation.
Second.
All right. Who did the second?
Leslie.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that Don be elected by acclamation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Don, do you want to say anything?
My motto for this job is WWHD.
What
What would Harry do?
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Let Jim.
Well, that's going to be WWDD.
It's just, a lot of things have changed when Harry was treasurer. It's just not the same.
Well, you know, we were the third affiliate in the nation to adopt QuickBooks Online when National decided that we were going to move the whole organization under that accounting software. We were early adopters on that.
Excellent.
We make sure that the state of Idaho is ahead of the curve
That's
when
right.
it comes to submitting things to National. We were one of the first this year where they got our tax stuff ready to submit to the federal government.
Well, you set the high watermark, Don, for us, that's for sure.
Well, it's so important because we have had a couple of years, unfortunately, where that was not the case. And boy, there were some scary times. And of course, the buck stops with the president. And I was not feeling very happy or comfortable about some things. And I'm glad that has all changed.
Yeah,
So
that
that's
wasn't a good
good.
move, but.
All right, Natalie, who's the first board position? Megan Geisler, thank you. I couldn't remember. All right, Megan Geisler's name has been placed in nomination. Are there any nominations from the floor? Any nominations from the floor? Any nominations from the floor?
I vote nomination cease.
Okay, and?
Accepted by acclamation. Thank you.
Good, very good. Thank you very much. It's been moved and seconded that Megan Geisler be nominated as board position number 1 by acclamation. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Speech, Megan.
Megan, do you want to say anything?
That I'm honored to be elected to this position again, and I love this organization, and I appreciate your guys' faith in me as serving on the board.
Thank you.
We miss you, Megan. We miss you, Megan.
Yeah, and we hope that next year we'll have a good representation from that chapter. And, all right, next Natalie is Natalie Morgan, all right. Natalie Morgan's name has been placed in nomination for the board position 2. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Any other nominations from the floor? Any other nominations from the floor?
I move that nomination cease and Natalie be elected by acclamation.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, congratulations, Natalie.
Oh, please do.
Speech, Natalie.
Just wanted to thank you all. I'm very proud to be a voice for everybody, so thank you for having confidence in me, and let's rock this, baby.
Yeah, being on the board, it is a real learning experience because there's lots of things that come up that you wouldn't think would. And we have to be very official and very thinking a lot, etc. Our third position is Joe Rover.
Oh, no, it's Allison Stevens.
No, it's Joe Grover.
You did, so, yeah.
Well, it's Allison's position, but.
And
Explained it to Joe.
yeah, it is. And I want to say, it's so hard on the board because people, when they get the board position, they're honored, they feel really good about it, and they want to stay, and they want to be part of it. The truth of the matter is, as Susan said today, we have to make room for people to learn and grow. And sometimes that means that someone needs to step off the board, but does that mean that they're not going to be heard or they're not going to be involved in the federation? Of course not. And I had one of our members one time who was off the board, had gotten off the board because he wasn't put up in nomination, and he was absolutely devastated. He was just absolutely devastated. And I had to talk over and over to him and say, look, this doesn't mean that we don't value you. In fact, we really do value you, and you can come to every board meeting, and I have never said to someone, you cannot be heard. Now, I have the board speak first if it's something the board has to speak to, but I've never denied anybody the opportunity to participate fully, give their ideas. I have a phone, it works, and I am happy to hear from anybody at any time. So we're not doing anything that is negative toward Allison. I know that she's so involved with the bill. She will continue to be involved. All right, Joe is up for nomination. Are there any other nominations from the floor?
I nominate Lynn Knight. He has a great desire to serve on the board.
Okay, Lynn Knight has been nominated. Are there any other nominations? Okay. Lynn, do you accept?
Yes.
Okay, Lynn Knight accepts the nomination on the board.
Yeah, sir.
Okay, now we will,
Madam President,
yes.
you need to call one more time.
Oh, excuse me. Are there any other nominations from the floor? I guess I can't count to three.
I move that nomination cease.
Okay. All right, how we generally have done this is that we, gosh, we haven't had one for so long.
Don't we try a voice first? Vote
We do
first.
voice things.
That's what I thought, but I.
We do hands though, too.
Okay, and then if we cannot tell by a voice vote, we will raise hands or stand. Okay. And let me just say again, I want to emphasize that this doesn't mean for whoever is elected or not elected that we don't want to hear from you. Yes, we have thankfully a lot of talented people. I'm glad we do. And so we have a lot of leaders, and so it isn't about but we only have limited board positions. So, you know, if people want to come to a board meeting, I try to announce them in advance and come. So anyway, I want to do these, typically we do them in reverse order of how they were done. So the first person, all in favor of Lynn Knight on the board.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All in favor of Joe Grover.
Aye.
Now, unless somebody says that this is not correct, by voice vote, I believe Joe Grover is the candidate who has won the position.
Well, they were louder, that's for sure.
Well, do you want to count?
I don't think it hurt. I think canned votes are a good way to go just anyway, but whatever you guys decide.
Well, if this is what you want, we'll do it. Is this what you're requesting?
Sure.
Okay. All right, so we need counters.
I think she's correct, but you know,
Who can be?
you just go by volume.
Who would like to be counter of hands?
Don's good with numbers.
I can count, Winnicky will count.
There's three kinds of people in this world, you know.
Yes.
Those that can count, those that can't.
Amber can. And Andy, we need probably three. Now, what we'll do on that is, when you get the counts, you'll come and tell me quietly. Okay? Okay,
That's up to you.
so that I know.
And make sure the counters agree.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You guys need to get together and make sure you agree, okay? Okay. All in favor of Lynn?
What's that?
Okay,
Standing or raising?
Well, you keep raising your hand until we tell you.
we're gonna raise hands. All those in favor of Lynn tonight, please raise hands. And we also do have Shane and Megan on. And they're able to vote.
They can vote through Susan. That would be reasonable.
Keep them up just for a minute, please. Thank you.
Got it?
Okay. Okay, all in favor of Joe Grover as the board position number 3?
And these two vote for Joe.
You should teach me. Yes.
Thank you.
Want to make sure you
Okay, you
get
guys
a fair
can do
shake
that.
there.
Share screen button, share button, end screen button.
All right. By the majority of the votes has gone to Joe Grover, and it was 19 votes to 10. So, where's the rest of our people?
I just want to make sure you got a fair shake.
Anyway, Joe will be serving in position 3, but like I said, I am available. I'm available by phone, I'm available by email. I'm not the world's best texter, and I don't always get back because I'm not used to watching for them, but really I'm trying to improve. So you're all valued, please know this, and I'm not just saying words, empty words.
You're both very valuable and it was a tough choice.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right, at this point, I want to kind of change. Oh, Joe, sorry about that. I'm just so interested in making sure we get done by noon, I guess I'm just forgetting important things. Sorry about that. That's why I needed officers.
Great.
I just appreciate the opportunity, so thank you.
All right, so we're gonna get to hear from Joe this afternoon, so that'll be good. At this point in time, I'm gonna change a little bit because, as I explained, Allison is needing to leave early. And I want her to give the Bell and Beyond report that she wants to give so that she can have that freedom to leave this afternoon on the bus. So Allison, you can come to the mic and I'll get off the mic so you can know where I am. It's always a good idea. Whoops. That's me.
Don't forget to buy your raffle tickets and your chocolates from the Charming Chocolate chapter.
I'll buy from the Charming Chocolate chapter today, and if you guys can catch me and say goodbye, I'll buy.
I don't understand what raffle are you?
I love chocolate.
Oh, that's cordial chocolates. That's so nice.
You all have wiggles, you need to wiggle now.
Those are just fundraisers.
Every wiggle, 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 wiggle.
I don't remember how much they are. $2 each. Sandy, how many of those cordials do you have?
I sold all my raffles.
I have some also.
Do you?
Also, this is a little announcement, I'm looking for a announcement.
A terrible way to die, a terrible way to die, a terrible way to start the day, a terrible way to die. Announcements, announcements, announcements.
I just need a ride from here to the Maverick, which is pretty much across the street. Is there anybody who would be willing and able to do that for me at about 2:30?
I'll do it.
Just anybody, find me later. Thank you. Anthony. Sure. I've just used up 2 of my 10 minutes. I'm here to talk about Bell. However, I do think a lot of you know about Bell. So I'm going to do a real quick, just tell you why do we do Bell. Bell stands for Braille Enrichment for Literacy and Learning. It's been around for about 17 years, I think, nationally. We've been doing it since 2012, and it's when we put kids into a group situation in the summer so they can get exposure to blindness skills and role models during the summer. Why do we do Bell? Because our kids really need it. Our kids are our future. We need to be growing the young people up so that Dana doesn't have to be president until forever. And it's really important to connect with them and to show them, empower them, let them see what they can be. I think low expectations is still taking our kids out every day. In the schools situation, there's so many, people just don't get it, and there aren't very many blind kids, so once someone has figured it out, that blind kid moves through the school and disappears, and everybody forgets that blind kids can do more than people expect. So it's really important for us to help our kids understand that they can do. And I cannot tell you how much fun it is to get a group together and to do everything together in the camp situation, adults and kids. And I think the adults learn as much as the kids, like I know I do. So we've changed Bell up a little bit here in Idaho. We now go through 17 years of age because those kids need stuff still too. We also accept kids who are low vision who may not ever be Braille readers. So why are we doing that? It's supposed to be all about Braille. Well, Braille is all about literacy.
So our focus is on literacy. We want our community to be literate and to be able to engage with everything they want to engage with. And in that as well, we're also hitting the mobility stuff and the daily living skills. So this last year was fun because we changed it up one more notch by adding a challenge track. So the kids that were older and were able actually spent an overnight camping after canoeing, kayaking to the destination. So they jumped in kayaks, they kayaked for, it wasn't far, but they did kayak to the other part of the lake, and they got out, they set up their tents, they lit the fire, they cooked their dinner, and then the next morning they made their breakfast also, and then they came back. And okay, one story just really quickly. Carver Anderson, a lot of you know, he's a low vision kid who's been coming to Bell events for a long time. I chatted with him, how was it? He goes, well, you know, I've been going to camps for a long time. I've done it through Scouts, I've done it through school, and I've always been on the sidelines because people are like, don't worry, we got this. And I've never been able to do all the things. He said, this time I did all the things. And I did put up my tent, I cooked food, I lit the fire, and he was just like, somebody believes in me. And yeah. And we watched that young man. If you know him, make sure you are connected. So that empowering is what we're trying to do. Another quick fun story. One of our littler, well, I just know him as little because he used to run around when we did our Boise Bell. He was the one who didn't really want to use his cane and he hid it in the trash can. So anyway, he loves coming and he's recruiting and all these things. Anyway, he says to me, he goes, Alison, would you like to go for a walk with me tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.? I was like, how about 6:30? Do 6:30. So 6:30, we're wandering around the camp and we end up by the lake and these people had gone for a swim. One of the staff members from the camp, Hilton Cove, and one of our staff members had gone for a swim together. And they came out and Mason, you see what I'm talking about, he was like, oh, can we go swimming in the morning? So next morning, what are we doing? We're swimming in the lake. It wasn't 6:30, it was 7:30.
Polar plunge.
Well, actually, I have to admit, I did duck out of it. I did go down with them. We found 3 other students who wanted to do it. I will do it this year, I think, because the water wasn't as cold. Anyway, those kids jumped in the water and they just didn't want to get out and they were just having such a great time. We've got a beautiful photo of the sun shining through all the droplets that they're splashing everywhere. And they just, that was their initiative. And that's now a tradition that was, came from them. And just seeing all of that, that growth and that creativity and the expression that those kids are able to do. So that's why we do Bell. How can you help? One of the things that's happening because we're doing a residential Bell is that we're not connected quite so close with families in the regions that we live in. So we don't know some of the younger kids that are coming up through. And a family, if you say to them, hey, would you like to send your kid into the middle of nowhere, and your kid has no skills, and we're going to read by water, and they're going to be all these blind people helping them. How do you feel about that? Send them away for a week. And they go, I'm not sure about that. My child don't do that. So we need to connect with the families that have kids in our regions.
Yes.
So I need you guys to do that. You need to figure out how you're going to find those kids and how you're going to connect with them. I would love to come around and do regional activities in your area. So if there are families, I'm trying to reach out to the TBIs in the areas to sort of set things up, but that's something that I think, we did manage to do one event in Boise and one event up in Coeur d'Alene, but we just need to keep doing that. We need to keep finding the families because they need us, they really do. And it's just such a precious thing to be able to give them this opportunity. And obviously I'm always looking for people. We've recruited a lot of our staff. About 2/3 or more are blind or low vision, and then we have a few that are sighted as well. So, but I'm always looking, the more blind staff I can get on board, the better. And it's usually blind males we're looking for as well, because that's, there's just less blind males that are jumping up and down to come and play with the kids, I don't know why. So anyway, that's kind of where the needs are.
Treasure Valley helps with expenses.
Let me talk about money.
The programs.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So, yeah, the programs, some of the local chapters will help fund, so we haven't, you know, we help the families cover the costs when we do these events. We're not gonna make them pay for that, we want them to come. But also, the funding, I don't know that we are the most expensive thing that NFB pays for, because we get a very healthy grant from ICBBI, and we have done for many years. In fact, almost all the years the program's been running. We also now, ISCB are writing a grant for, through the Give Me Foundation, and they're giving that to us. That's a $5,000 grant that they've been writing. So that is also in the pot, and that's what Brian Darcy referred to.
But it goes through our books.
It all goes through our books, and we need the money available to pay those deposits and all of that. But at the end of the day, I think we're paying out maybe 2,000 or 3,000 by the time
Well
everything
done.
else has been covered. Yep. Oh. My timer went off. My 10 minutes is up. Are there any questions?
Amelia has a question. Do you have dates for Bell yet?
This year. So I don't want to be sarcastic, but yes, we do have dates, yeah. It's the 21st of July through the 26th. Yeah. And we have it now so that, because I'm doing the commission programs, I make sure the dates don't overlap. This year they don't overlap. So the VIEW program ends and the Bell program starts 2 days later.
Amy, I have a question, Allison. Yes. It sounds like you guys are doing so many creative things, and I love, the focus on comment. And I'm wondering about your work with your low vision kids. Are you teaching them non-visual skills? Doing any learning team work with them, things like that, to work on the non-visuals?
We do not have them wear shades. We're kind of meeting them where they're at with that. I think a lot of what they're observing is helping them realize that maybe, we do have students who go, oh, okay, it could really help me, so let me try that. So if they are expressing that interest, then we jump on it for sure. But it's really encouraging them to step up and step out from where they're at.
So how many students do you think you could handle, Allison? Yeah.
Well, it's actually the size of the campground that is our limitation.
Uh-huh.
Why do I think we either have 17 or 20? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know you've had quite a
We had 20
few.
last year, and
You'd had quite a
that was
few.
probably maxing our, close to the limit
Okay.
of that camp. But that doesn't mean we don't want to dream bigger. I'm definitely getting applications this year from kids I've never met or heard about before, so.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much.
Thanks for all you invested.
I realize your prize?
Yeah.
Yeah, for an auction item.
Yeah, well, let's do one thing before we do the door prize, and then we'll do one more thing, and then we'll do an auction item. Yeah, I know. Thank you, that's really important. That may take us, that report time that Allison has given us, so that's a good thing. I knew I was gonna forget something. Okay,
Door prize fast. Yeah, let me get a name.
really fast.
What's the name? Sorry, she's not quick.
It's cold in here, isn't it, honey?
Not,
It's cold in here this morning.
with a celebratory. Starbucks, not good.
Subway good.
Starbucks, huh? I could use a good Starbucks about now.
Okay, guys, I don't really want to take much more time, so let's.
Cindy Grover.
There you go.
I know they have a Subway in Tampa. What I forgot to do is we forgot to elect,
Yes.
delegates.
We have 2 Subways in Colorado.
So, we need to elect a delegate and an alternate delegate for our national convention,
Nominate Dana R as delegate.
okay? Okay, it's been moved and seconded, I be nominated as delegate.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Now we need to have an alternate, and alternates sometimes do things, especially if the delegate's busy and something comes up and so forth and so
I
on.
nominate Sandy Streeter if she's still.
I nominate Susan Bradley.
Okay.
I can't do it right now. I second.
Okay, Susan Bradley has been nominated and seconded, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, now,
Well,
you mentioned,
resolutions, we have not had chapter reports, so
We can fit them in this afternoon.
we can fit them in this after, what, resolutions or chapter?
I do resolutions now.
Yeah, okay, I think that's a good idea, Ramona, that's what I was thinking. Okay, we do have 6 resolutions. So I think Ramona is absolutely correct, we should do those now, and some of the other stuff we probably can fit in this afternoon. We've got to talk about our baskets though, so, we've got lots to do. So anyway, TJ, are you ready to read? Oh, good.
I'm on the way. Where do I need to go? You come follow my voice. Follow me right here. And then you're gonna go past me. Keep going, go. And then go left. And then you're gonna have to go right on. Sorry. Go 2 chairs and then
Come
to your left.
towards me.
And now to your left.
Dan is right there.
What?
Oh, Crystal's there.
Crystal.
He's okay.
Well.
There's the.
Whatever.
The mic is to your left side. There you go.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll start resolution 2025-01. Request co-sponsorship of HR 1529, Access Technology Affordability Act. Whereas TJ's iPhone is connected. Sorry. Whereas 70% of blind people are unemployed, and whereas often, not without, blind people need specialized adaptive technology, braille displays, screen readers, screen reading software, desktop magnification devices, etc., in order to perform job tasks. And whereas employers are often hesitant to consider a blind person for employment because of possible costs to the business to provide accommodation. And whereas the blind person often would not have resources to cover these technology costs. And whereas Mathematica has provided a dynamic score for this bill, which would save the government $315 million over the next 5 months. Therefore, be it resolved by the National Federation of the Blind of Idaho in convention assembled this 25th day of,
29th.
29th day of March, 2025, you think I could read dates, in Burley, Idaho, that this organization calls upon Congressman Mike Simpson and Russ Fulcher to co-sponsor H.R. 1529, the Access Technology Affordability Act, which creates a $2,000 refundable tax credit for the purchase of qualified technology for the blind. And of course, the committee recommends to pass.
Okay. It's been recommended and that we pass this resolution. This goes along with our national, what we're doing on our national level. Do we have a motion?
Move its adoption.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, the resolution passes. Thank you, TJ.
Alrighty, resolution 2025-02, co-sponsor HR 1175, Blind Americans Return to Work Act. Whereas Title II of the Social Security Act mandates that the disability benefits paid to blind beneficiaries are eliminated if the beneficiary exceeds the monthly earning limit of $2,700 per month in 2025. And whereas a blind person will lose their SSDI benefit even if they earn $1 more than the earnings limit. And whereas many blind people deny themselves raises or additional work hours to avoid making more than the earnings minimum. And whereas because the high cost of living, blind people like other Americans must use all available income in order to cover current inflationary expenses. Therefore, be it resolved by the National Federation of the Blind of Idaho in Convention March 29th, 2025, that we call upon Congressman Mike Simpson and Russ Fulcher to co-sponsor HR 1175, introduced by Congressman Pete Sessions, which will amend Title II of the Social Security Act, allowing the Commissioner of Social Security to carry out a demonstration project, changing the earnings limit to a 2-for-1 plan, where for every $2 earned, the blind person would lose $1 of SSDI benefits. This would allow blind individuals to continue to increase earnings, thus pay more in Social Security and into the tax base. And the committee recommends to pass.
Move its adoption. Second. If
Okay,
there's
it's
discussion.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. You know, TJ, if you can, and you know where it says therefore be it resolved in convention, blah, 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 you don't probably have to say that bit if you can skip it.
Okay.
Just because we all know what it says.
Right. Okay. Can do. Resolution 2025-03, Idaho Legislature to safeguard talking book services and support library funding flexibility. Whereas the Idaho Commission for Libraries talking book service is a critical program serving blind and print disabled residents, funded primarily 95% by the Federal Institution
or the Federal Institute of Museums and Library Services, IMLS. And whereas the Joint Finance and Appropriations Committee, JFAC, recently adopted intent language that prohibits the transfer, I'm sorry, I don't think I got that word right. Yeah, the transfer or use of state funds to support programs formerly funded by the federal government without specific legislative approval. And whereas the Idaho Commission for Libraries, ICFL, employs at least 10 staff members to carry out vital programs, including six staff members directly supporting the Talking Book service, all 10 of whom face possible layoffs if federal funding is disturbed. And whereas any delay in federal and whereas any delay in federal in funding authorization could force the shutdown of the Talking Book service and halt essential services for Idahoans with disabilities until the legislature reconvenes. And whereas the Talking Book service is not merely a library program, but a lifeline to independence, information access, and civil participation for blind and print disabled Idahoans. Therefore, be it resolved, skipping past, 1 second. Federation of the Blind of Idaho urges the Idaho legislature to take immediate steps to safeguard the Idaho Talking Book service and ensure the continuation of services to blind and print disabled residents in the event of federal funding disruption. The Federation specifically calls on all members of the Joint Finance Appropriation Committee, JFAC, to support legislative flexibility and funding mechanisms that will allow for Idaho Commission for Libraries to continue and to retain essential staff without interruption. And we recommend you pass.
If we adopt.
Second it. Madam President, I just want to say regarding these library resolutions, this one and the next one, these were moving fast. In less than 2 weeks, there were several changes. Dan has been in touch with the head of the state library, Stephanie White, to make sure that we are up to date. So if you saw something on a listserv or an email that you think might not be quite square with these resolutions, we think this is the most up-to-date situation.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. 04.
Resolution 2025-04 supports the funding of the Institute of Museum and Library Services, the Idaho Talking Book service. Whereas the Institution of Library Services, IMLS, provides approximately 95% of the funding for the Idaho Talking Book service, which serves 2,700 blind and print disabled Idahoans, whereas the Talking Book service enables Idahoans with disabilities to access books, periodicals, and other reading materials in accessible formats that are not otherwise available. through traditional library services. Whereas on March 14th, 2025, President Trump issued an executive order targeting IMLS and several other federal agencies for reduction and elimination. And whereas the IMLS administered grants to states program provides $1.7 million annually to support libraries in Idaho, including the Idaho Commission for Libraries and its staff, and maybe and may be vulnerable under the existing under the executive order. And whereas the elimination of IMLS would devastate library services for individuals with disabilities in Idaho and across the country, including the near total loss of the Idaho Talking Book Service. Therefore, be it resolved in 2025 in Burley, Idaho, that the National Federation of the Blind of Idaho strongly supports the continued existence and full funding of the Institute of Museums and Library Services, including the Grants to States program. The Federation further urges Idaho congressmen and senators to oppose any executive or legislative efforts to reduce or eliminate IMLS, and to publicly affirm their support for programs that serve blind and print disabled constituents, and we recommend you pass.
Okay, it's been recommended you pass.
Move we adopt.
Seconded. Okay, it's been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's get 06, because it's similar, and then we'll save 07 for this afternoon.
Okay, resolution 2025-06, preservation of Institute of Museums and National Library Service. Whereas on January 28th, 2019, President Trump signed the Marrakesh Treaty, and whereas this treaty enables the sharing of materials produced for the blind with the National Library Service and the other signatories of the treaty. And whereas blind people have benefited from increased materials provided from the 80 countries who have ratified this treaty, and whereas Senator Jim Risch was instrumental in getting the Marrakesh Treaty ratified for the benefit of those blind and print disabled persons in the United States who need such materials. And whereas on March 14th, 2025, President Trump issued an executive order targeting IMLS for elimination. And whereas elimination of IMLS would remove access to all reading materials for the blind, including materials provided by the Marrakesh Treaty. Therefore, be it resolved by the National Federation of the Blind in convention assembled this skip year 2025 in Burley, Idaho, that we call upon Senator Risch to work with President Trump to preserve library services for the blind, so that preserve library services for the blind, so that the blind of the United States can continue to receive access, reading materials, access to reading materials, including those which are made available through the Marrakesh Treaty, and we recommend you pass.
Move its adoption.
Okay, it's moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Who seconded?
Either Sandy or I. Madam President,
Yes.
we are gonna do a video of the young ladies, and so we need, Cammie and Liz and the young ladies that are gonna do this video come outside and go to the left. Soon as we can find a quiet place, we will do the video. We should be able to do it in 5 minutes, so you can go on to the student, luncheon. In any case, if those of you who are turning left will not be too noisy, that will help us.
You might want to turn right. It's quiet over there.
We're on tonight and then we're out of here.
12:01. Door prize?
I know, but they're not gonna serve us until at least 12:15.
Just want door prize?
Yeah, I know, I want an auction.
Auction item.
Who's not gonna serve us? Huh?
Not packing up your computer.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna end this stream now.
You're good. And Andy's want to stream works again.
What?
It's time for 12 now for break.
I know. I'm gonna end the stream. I said. So.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for, folks.
Please. I'm streaming here.
Yeah.
25.
Ooh. We're going to kick it off for $25. Do we have 30?